Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of DJ Coffee Talk. Today we sit down with Dante Levo. Dante is a DJ and a producer based out of Los Angeles, California. He mixes and creates a blend of progressive house, trance, and dubstep that's unique, emotional, and dramatic. His style is authentic and raw. That's one of the key components that makes it so inviting to listeners that go on the journeys that he creates through his songs. We sit down and share a cup of coffee with him and discuss his history in the LA music scene. We also dive into the lore behind his music, and we talk about his dreams and his musings. He also offers some wisdom on his time in the industry, which I think would be really helpful to any of y'all listening that are getting into the music industry, since he's been in it for, a better part of a decade. His set with us can be accessed wherever you listen to your podcasts. So don't forget to check that out. It's fucking filthy. I hope they don't bleep out the F word that I said on this.
Here's a quick sneak peek of his coffee break set. I think it's a great showcase of Dante's ability to produce incredible music in multiple genres, so get ready for a nasty switch up. But don't get too carried away because Jack and Dante jump straight in conversation following that. Let's get it.
Dante here in the studio, Dante Levo. It's a pleasure to have you here. He is a DJ and producer based out of Los Angeles, California. We're going to go ahead and start off with the cheers here.
Yeah, cheers to that. Woo!
Woo! DJ
Yes.
Coffee Talk.
All right.
We were just talking about your latest single that you came out, recently released, The Way We Were. You have already shared, how that connected you with some people on an emotional level. And for you like creating that space for people, that intimate kind of cinematic experience that they can travel to. Can you kind of touch on what that song meant to you and maybe a little bit of the experience of producing it, the story behind making it and the feelings you want to express to people through it? And you don't have to answer all those at the same time, but just to kind of...
I will though.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, but I guess I'll start with like how it came about. So at the time, I was going through a rough patch with an ex-girlfriend. This was like years ago too. And yeah, like at the time I was just like sad and stuff like that. All I was doing was just thinking about the good times I had with her. And, like, I always think to myself, like, why does this have to change? Like, why is, all these things happening, stuff like that. But, I try not to let that like get in the way of me living my life. Right. So like what I thought was just like, okay, well, I mean, that's just, the way we were. And like, that's all it's going to be right now. Like now I have to move on from that. And yeah, I just got to pick myself up and just move forward, So like, it's just the way we were.
Right on. What was the story behind the production of it? Was there, any specific influences that you used for it? I mean, who are, some of your influences when you go into creating a song like that to express those feelings, because that's so one, unique, two, difficult to do, to express something that feels like that. And then three, I mean, the whole process of production is a magical process in itself. So, I mean, where were you in creating that,
The way that I started it was just once like I felt those feelings, I was like, okay, I need to pick sounds that kind of bring that feeling, right? So like, first I would start off with my chords, make sure they're emotional, and you just kind of feel it, right? And there's at times where I just kind of put the keyboard in front of me and then mess around with the chords until like something just like smacks me. I was like, okay, no, yes, this is exactly what I'm going for. Yeah. And then just kind of let it flow out of me. Once it's flowing, then it's just like, okay, I got to put a kick here. I got to do this here. And then, it was pretty cool doing that song. I swear, like it was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of letting my emotions just flow out of me. Right. And then, so once I was done, my friend Faith, who sang on the track, Faith Rose, I spoke to her about it. I was telling her the things that I was going through and stuff like that, and she like totally like felt the same way. It's like, oh yeah, dude, I know what you're going through. I know it, I know all that stuff. Trust me. And so like we spoke about it for a little bit. She came up with some lyrics, and I was like, oh yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, yes, 100%. And so then, she recorded the lyrics and everything, or the track, and just got it mixed and mastered. And I was like, yeah, this is it. This is a banger. So
did you work with her on the lyrics? Because I know some of it's like you were lover and I was king. That was kind of the dynamic. But did you guys kind of collaborate on the creation of those lyrics, or did you hear that and you're like, yep, that's it? That's going with this sound. This is going to be like what it is, and I'm feeling it right now. Is it more of that type of feeling?
Yeah, well, because like I really like to let the vocalist also, bring themselves into the track too. So like I'm like, you know what? Go, like I'll give you my experience of it, of the track, like what I made and stuff like that. But then kind of put your interpretation of it as well. So then it's also part of their track too, So
yeah.
I let her do the lyrics and stuff like that. So I told her, yeah, full control on that and stuff like that. And I told her, what I was feeling and stuff like that. And she nailed it. Like,
yeah.
So
it takes so much vulnerability to be in the space where you can create something like that too, man. I mean, kudos to you, and there's so many other artists that you can kind of open yourself up to be like, this is what I'm feeling right now. And you get what I'm feeling, like we vibing on this frequency, and then you like create something out of it. And I think that's the magic of collaboration,
Yes, 100%, man. I think that's so important. And that's why I do music. Like, that's why I do it, because what I make is literally what I'm feeling at the moment. Like, so if my music speaks to people, then I know that they felt that in some way, before, or even at that moment, I
mean, you're saying people are DMing you about it too, which is, fantastic.
Which is super cool. And then like, I like same thing with the visuals for that track that I put on, like on Spotify, kind of you're able to do like a little canvas, like a little 7-second clip, right? And I pretty much just put like it was just like a happy time. You see a couple just, out traveling, enjoying themselves and stuff like that. And it was, again, trying to make it like cinematic and stuff like that. And I think it portrayed easily what the song was about. So like a lot of people also connected with the visuals and connected very well with the track. So yeah.
How do you go about finding collaborators for vocals like you have been? Is that kind of like local scene? Is that in LA, or are you going online for that?
Ooh, it's a little bit of both. So like, but it's a little bit of everything actually. Yeah. So sometimes I ask friends and stuff like that, like, yo, do you know any vocalists and stuff like that I'd love to work with? And then they shoot me like their Instagram. I go on their Instagram, I do a little digging. I'm like, all right, do you have a Spotify? Let me check out their music. And then if I think that their track or their voice is like fitting for mine, then I'll be like, yo, I love your voice. Let's work on something, And then there's sometimes where I'll go on Sound Better and I'll just kind of sift through all the vocalists, and same thing, just find, a voice that will fit my track. Because I feel like that's hard, finding a vocalist for, because you want to get a specific feeling out of the track. So you got to have the voice that fits it. So, yeah. And then that's also harder when you're trying to choose between a male vocalist and a female vocalist, because there's some guys out there that have pipes, man. I'm not gonna lie.
I saw your tweet actually. You're like, I know some of you guys got pipes out there. Hit me up. Let's collaborate.
Yeah. So like I'm working with a couple dudes right now. So I mean, yeah, and that's like usually that's my first too. That I'm finally working with a couple male vocalists, because all I've always done was female. Because I mean, most of the stuff that I was doing was pretty cutesy and like euphoric and stuff like that. So like it's usually a female vocalist, but I want something a little bit more like rough and you know, a little deeper, you know. So
is that kind of? Do you think that's a next step in you expressing your artwork? Do you think that's kind of like? So this actually transitions really well into, because I know you identify as like your favorite sad boy on Twitter. Do you think that's more of something that you're transitioning through, or is that a vibe that you really settle into as an artist? And how'd you really get into that space of being kind of identifying as the sad boy?
Oh dang, that's a little. I mean, I haven't always been a sad boy, right? So I've been a happy boy for a while. But no, getting into like melodic dubstep and stuff like that, like listening to Set the Sky, like you hear and listen to all their tracks, and it's very. I love anything that's like acoustic and stuff like that. And I wasn't always into that kind of stuff. I was always listening to like alternative rock. I was always listening to other things that's not in the space of like melodic dubstep / like future bass and stuff like that. But getting into like the sad boy, I love it though. Like I'm not gonna lie, I love being a little.
Hey, I mean, being sad boy, I don't think means that you're not a happy boy. You know, I think it's kind of like punk. You know, a little bit. Yeah. It's just kind of like it's something that you release an emotion through. Would you agree? It's not so much like there's many aspects of Dante.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Everybody appreciates, but then one of the channels that you're kind of expressing yourself through artistically is that sad, kind of punky, like emotional, intimate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say I'm pretty emotional. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty emotional. So like anything that I do, I'll mix it with some type of emotion. Like, yeah, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Like, you know, if I'm doing stuff alone, like I'm doing it with, you know, happy intent and stuff like that. And I'm constantly listening to music. So like, it is a vibe. It's just a vibe. And then I do want to dig a little deeper into my music and you know, be even more emotional, you know, and just kind of really just let it all out. Right. But
yeah, do you think that kind of feeds into that depth? And because what you always bring up is that cinematic experience that you want to bring to people, and you like having longer tracks and having space to like, for people to feel. You liked having a longer set, even for our podcast, just so you can really communicate a story. Do you think that kind of connects? Do you think that kind of connects to a certain degree? You know, that you're willing to go into these deeper, more emotional spaces, and you want to tell a full story in your music. That kind of aligns with partially being accepting of those sadder emotions of being the sad boy Dante, but also being like, let's look at all the full spectrum of what I can show you through my music, you know, as an artist.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think it all connects for sure. And being a sad boy, like you said, it's only one aspect of me, right? And I think that's like the beauty of it too, because it's only one aspect. So that means I can really explore all these other parts of me, you know, and stuff like that. So, and it gives me a chance to evolve as an artist, as a you know, musician and everything. Like I get to push limits, you know.
Right. Do you feel that when you move, like when you mix with different genres, do you feel like that really gives you a lot of liberty to just explore different parts of yourself?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I'm trying to get into like also a heavier and like deeper aspect of it. Cause like I've always done like euphoric and happy, right? But I'm trying to get deeper. I'm trying to get heavier. I'm trying to get into like the heavy like dubstep almost, you know, and stuff like that. Cause I mean, I want to show that side of me too. I get angry too, you know. I want to, you know, a little rage here and there, you know. So it's not just always good vibes all the time, because it's not always, you know, like that, yeah. So
yeah, no, that makes total sense. Do you think some of that's going to be shown in? Should we expect some of that in Control when it's released, or is that a different type of vibe, or you know, what should we expect when viewers are going to be listening to In Control?
So with In Control, it's a little. I try to like push the limits on that, like get it on the heavier side. But I still think I can push it even more.
Yes.
So no, I can definitely push
I'm totally biased though. I love that. I love the heavy stuff, but yes, that's great.
Yeah, but I think people are going to really enjoy it in Control for sure though. Cause again, it's a little heavier than a lot of the stuff that I've done. But it's still, you know, you get to stay in the feels a little bit still, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm
production
excited
side. Absolutely. Production side, what do you think shifted in your, you know, when you're getting in there creatively and really getting into creating the track? What do you think shifted when you went over to this newest track as opposed to some of your previous releases?
Well, since In Control's a collab too, so I'm working. I worked with Unoya on this track, and he sent it to me, and he had a good chunk of it done, and I was like, "Oh, dude, like this sounds like pretty euphoric and stuff like that, like pretty cutesy and stuff." And I was like, "Dude, no, let's like switch it up a little bit. Let's get a little heavier." And so, like, yeah, he sent me the track over, and then I started messing around with some basses and stuff like that. And yeah, dude, it's gonna freaking rock. Like, I'm so excited for it, man. Like, yeah, it's hard choosing the right like basses because you don't want to go, you know, too insane. Because I didn't want to also take the light out from his song too. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to overshine or anything like that. So, yeah, like it's cool. I'm excited for that, and it is a little heavier, so I am excited for people to see that side of me. Mm-hmm. So, yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited to hear it. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
No, it's gonna be awesome. Can you tell us, you know, going back to a different part of your life? You've been performing for a bit now, but what was if you can remember your first live performance? You know, what was that? Where were you? What was your mindset? You know, where was Dante at in his life? You know, what was his perspective on EDM at that point? You know, can you kind of take us to that space?
Yeah, well, okay, then let me ask. Do you want the very first one as a DJ or like the first one at like club like performance?
Let's do first one as a can we do both? Or is that asking too much?
Oh yeah, no, that's totally cool. All right, so I'll do the first. My very, very first was I DJ'd for my friend's party, and at the time, the equipment that I had was just horrible, right? So I had these carpet covered looking speakers, and they needed an amp to power them and stuff like that. So I had to go to the swap meet and buy an amp for these speakers. And then I had my laptop, and then I had my mix track, my Newmark mix track that my buddy gave me after he left for Arizona. So yeah, it was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie, because setting up all that equipment, you know, was just so hard, especially doing it for the first time. You're like, you know, beforehand, you're like, okay, all right, this should be pretty easy, you know, like pretty easy to set up and stuff like that. But the minute you get there, you're like, wait, where's all my cables? Yeah, where does that go? Where are my cables? I don't know what's going on. And like, and then I had like technical difficulties because my laptop was like hella slow, and it was just a pain just trying to start.
What software were you using?
At the time, I was using Tractor.
Okay, was it user friendly or was it kind of clunky?
No, at the time it was pretty clunky. Like it was hard because there's like buttons everywhere. Like on the actual main thing, yeah, it's just there's buttons everywhere. Because like, I mean, now I know how to use it. Because I mean, after using it for like 6 years, like obviously you learn to do it. But at the time, I was like, I don't know what any of these things mean. I just want to press play and like let's get this going. So
had you been mixing for a bit? I mean, before you went out to mix in front of people, had you been mixing for a while and you said, I'm just going to go for it? Or was it like, this is kind of cool and I like it and I'm just going to go out and try it? Like fuck it. Or was it,
I was definitely a bedroom DJ for sure. I did it for like a couple months and I was like, man, this will be easy. And then that's when I had my first performance. I was like, no, it's not that easy.
What do you recommend to people, when they're first starting out like that, when they go out and they just perform for the first time and they're like, man, that was really hard. I mean, looking back at you back then, what would you have wanted to hear, when you had first performed like that? And it was all overwhelming, and you're like, well, it was kind of cool, and there was like a couple ups, but I was really anxious at certain points, and I don't know if like this is for me, but I'm also really like it. What would young Dante want to hear?
Prepare, and just relax. Like, dude, just relax, because you get so nervous because you're about to play. This is your first performance, especially in front of people. As a veteran DJ, like, you're not used to actually playing in front of people because now people are judging you for what you're playing, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, you get those nerves. So, I would have definitely told myself, like, dude, just relax, have fun with it. For sure, have fun with it, because in the beginning, you're not going to be perfect, right? You're not going to be, technical or anything like that. Right? At this point, you're just there to have fun. You're playing music that's, do for the love of it, right? So definitely one of the things I would have definitely told myself, like, just chill out, take a chill pill, relax.
Yeah, deep breaths.
Yeah. Make sure you have enough music.
I guess that is a big one. So if you can take us next then to, your first experience in the club type atmosphere, and then what that was like for you?
That was even more nerve wracking.
Really?
Yeah. Cause like
was this like a little bit after? Was this a little bit like, what's the time frame?
Oh no. For my first performance as a DJ was like, to like my first performance in a club was like at least six years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was your first performance in a hookah bar too, or am I getting that wrong?
That was just a house party.
A house party.
When I was DJing at hookah bars and bars and stuff like that, that was in between. That and my first club gig.
Okay.
So yeah, it was house parties and stuff like that. Then I was like, okay, I want to play outside of house parties. So I did hookah bars. And then from hookah bars, I was a little older. So then I was like, okay, I'll play at bars now. And then from bars, I went to the club. And then, my first experience at the club was at Exchange LA. Mm-hmm. And it was at like their gallery that they have like downstairs. And, it was so nerve wracking. Cause like now I don't have to bring my equipment, right? And now they're giving you high end equipment.
Yeah,
so
totally.
I'm used to using my little mix track, had basic, control functions and stuff like that. But then you go to the club, it's like you have CDJ 2000s. And that stuff has buttons everywhere. There's a whole bunch of other stuff. There's so many other functions and capabilities that I had no idea what to do. And the first time playing in the club, I ran out of music. That's how I was also I was supposed to play for like an hour. I wasn't used to playing for an hour. Mm-hmm. I stopped at like 45 minutes. So that's 15 minutes is quite a bit. Like you could easily squeeze in like another 4 or 5 songs. But it was nerve wracking. The dance floor was empty and stuff like that because like people weren't vibing to like my mixing skills yet. Mm-hmm. Like I still haven't like perfected it at the time. And
What was the first time you threw one of your own produced songs out in a mix? Were you doing that right off the bat? Because I know you started at age 18, right, with production?
Yeah. My first song, no, I haven't. It wasn't actually until recently that I actually started playing my own stuff. Because before, my production was horrible. Like when I first started, there was no... like my rhythm was off, everything was off, and I didn't know how to really use the DAW at the time. And it was just really, really bad. But it wasn't until probably, I would say like 2 to 3 years ago that I actually started playing my own music. And the very first one was Catalyst. Mm-hmm. And that one was more like progressive housey type of track. Oh, and then there's another one actually too. Even before that, now that I think about it, there was one other one, but this one I had to collab with like 4 other people to like get this song sounding like crisp. And it was with Nick Ledesma, Feedson, Corey Gray, and then myself. Right, it was called Too Far Gone, and this was a progressive house track, and yeah, we had it sent out to a whole bunch of DJs and stuff like that, and we got some good feedback on it. And then I was like, okay, this is the time that we got to start playing our own music and stuff like that. And then yeah, I played it at a bar, and that was like first time ever playing my own song, and people actually liked it. So I was like, heck yeah, like
yes.
this it's my time. Let's go.
What's the moment like right before you're about to track it, like put it on and you're cueing it? Is there like a little, is it like tingles? Is it like a little, oh shit, it's like, oh, it's about to like it's about to go out there in the world. It's like, all right, be free, like my child, and you throw it out on the dance floor and just see how people react. Is that, and what emotions are you feeling right when that's about to happen?
Literally everything you just said. It's like, oh shit, okay, all right, focus. Like you gotta make this transition like fit. Like you gotta make it clean, all right, because then people are gonna judge you for that. And it's just nerve wracking. Like, oh my god, okay, I gotta press play. Ready, 1, 2, 3, boom. Oh, it's out there. It's super cool. But now it's just like, all right, I got all these other songs. Like, let's go. How many more can I squeeze in now?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it's all a skill. Like you kind of learn in the beginning. It's hard to finish songs and stuff like that, and to kind of let yourself go and be like, hey, dude, it's okay. Play your own songs. That's how people are gonna like
hear about you. Who Dante really is. Well, I think do you feel like that's where like the connection comes? Because like circling it back to those people DMing you about the songs that you've made, it's kind of the point where do you think that's the point where you make like that authentic relationship with your audience? Because then you're really sharing a part of yourself with them, and then creating those like tendrils that connected all these people throughout the world. It's so freaking awesome, dude. It's like very powerful, that you can, artists in general, you guys are creating those types of connections with people. It's so needed right now too.
There's this like a saying that I say to myself, or like this is like the way I would express myself. Like anytime someone listens to one of my songs, it's like I'm giving you a fragment of my soul. That's the way I see it.
Whoa.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, because I'm very emotional. So like,
no, I love it, dude.
Yeah, as I express myself. Yeah, as I'm expressing myself, that's exactly fantastic. How I'm feeling. You're taking a piece with you, especially if you enjoy it. Like, hey. And now we're connected in some way. So yeah, super cool.
Right on. Do you think that's why? So when what do you think was like the tipping point where you felt comfortable with throwing your production out in the world? Because you're so emotional and vulnerable with your music, and you really are, like you just said, putting a piece of your soul out there. I mean, it took a certain amount of courage, I bet. But then, I mean, what was the point where you were like now, like I feel like I'm ready? Well, I mean, obviously there's no like direct, Tuesday at 3 p.m. on the 20th of 2016, but like intuitively, just how were you feeling? Were you like, fuck it, I'm going to go for it? Was that like kind of what you were feeling?
Kind of, but for me, I was kind of setting myself some goals, and I told myself I'm not going to, play any of my music until like at least 80% as good as some of the guys that are out there right now doing it.
Yeah.
So like I had to get my production quality up to par, at least to 80%. Like at least what I felt was 80% of how good some of these guys are. So once I felt like, okay, I'm there, I'm at that goal. Okay, I can still grow, but I feel like I've met a certain threshold, right? So at that point, that's when I was like, okay, then now we're releasing all my stuff. I'm putting it in my sets. We're going full force into this space and everything. So yeah.
Who are some of the people that you really either respect a lot that are kind of in the same place you are right now, or some people you really look at? So that's two questions, actually. First one, who are you looking at that you look up to, that you kind of see as like role models for what you're trying to hit in your style of music? And then like how they influenced you?
Oh man. So I guess like with influences and everything, I mean, right now, for sure, 7 Lions, you can tell with all my music, like huge influence, right? Yeah. So, just because I love the way he conveys, his, expression.
The story, it's so cinematic, dude.
Yeah, that's why I take a little piece of that with me, and then also AU5. dude, his freaking bass design is like insane. Like this guy's a freaking genius. And I'm like, I'm trying to reach that level of like, knowledge and everything. And, and I've met him too. Like I've met him one time at the Palladium. My buddy was opening up for Seven Lions for his tour. And after the whole night was done, he went to his his room. But as he was going to his room, I was like, oh damn, Austin, like what's up, man? Like, you're so cool, dude. Like you freaking played an awesome set. Like, and then I spoke to him about his hyper growl tutorial that he had out, and we were just kind of vibing awesome. On me, like his music and stuff like that. So I was like, dude, I look
like when you said that though, he was like, this guy's actually like a fan, like he's into this, dude. Like that was like probably such an in's not the right word, but you guys just vibed probably right off of that.
Yeah.
Like this dude actually was like really deep into, my style and what I'm about, and like my production techniques and stuff. It's cool that you could you could have that connection like that,
Yeah. But I think it's super cool too. I mean, at least with him, like he's just so good that he'll be able to tell you everything that he's doing, but a lot of people can't really replicate what he's doing, right? Like, and I want to kind of set myself up like that too. Like I want to be so good into like melodic dubstep or like any music that I'm doing, that even though I'm giving out my secrets, but you're that good that not everyone's going to be able to replicate it, and I feel like it's unique,
You're at a whole nother level of using the tools at that point. I feel like you're saying like I've used these tools, but I'm just have so many game or practice in the game at this point that I can use them at a level where I'm just so confident in my ability to be uniquely me and at this skill level. It's kind of like being like when you watch really good sports players, they make the game look easy, like bronze and stuff. And you're like, oh, just lean back, do that. And then you go out there and you just fucking can't hit it at all. Or like you hit the rim or something,
Yeah.
Or same thing with like MMA fight. No, you're 100% fine, bro. Same thing with like MMA fighters too, though. You'll see that like people watch guys fight in MMA and it just looks so fluid and simple and artistic. And you get out there and it's like, oh, my hip hurts. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, like it's hard.
No, 100%. Like I feel like people don't see they don't see all the hard work that we do like outside of, Instagram, Twitter, or anything like that. Like they don't see the countless hours that we're here just staring in front of a computer, messing around with one sound until we're like totally content with like, with what we've made or whatever, and like, and I'm gonna say like it gets lonely, man. It gets lonely as a producer and stuff like that. Like especially because you have to strive for better, right? So then a lot of people always say like, anytime like your friends tell you let's go party, let's go do this, like nah, dude, I want to stay inside. I want to, you got to master your craft, right? So then you got to sacrifice, your social life a little bit to make sure that you're putting extra work, so then you can get better in your music, and that quality is just higher, and you're just pushing yourself more and more.
Yeah. Where do you think you found some of your community while you're in the trenches and the ground floor? People like sometimes say like clouds and dirt. So like clouds would be, you're at the top of the world, freaking opening for W&W, like fat set, hanging out. And then the dirt is like you're in your room on a Saturday night and you're working on one sound, like you just said. You're just grinding. It's like, not like that, not like that. Okay, change the sound up a bit, like not like that. So where do you find the community when you're in the trenches like that and find other like-minded people? And I like asking this question to a lot of guests because we want to have young producers listening to the show. Like, who do they connect with and feel like they're not alone in that process of like, I'm grinding and I care about this, but like I want to find other like-minded people like Dante to like that are into my vibe and into my hustle,
No, yeah. To really find that community, I mean, for me, every time after a show, after I'm done playing, I like to go out into the crowd and kind of like, just walk around, because usually the your audience is gonna just come up to you and be like, dude, like your set was so amazing, this and that, and like then you start having a full-on conversation with them, like, dude, I'm so glad that you vibed with it, because like that's the main thing. Like if you vibe with what I'm throwing out there, then we're connected in some way, right? So I do that after my show, and then even before, I mean, I try to talk to everyone, you know. I mean, I'm a bit of an introvert, but I think it's important to like really like network and like just talk to everyone, you know. Especially in this game, like in the music industry, like you really don't want to be, you know, shit talking to anybody, like, because someone's gonna know somebody, and then that's just not good for your career. I mean, I think it's important to, you know, collab with everyone and everything, you know, and when you share those experiences with someone, like it's another level of, you know, connectivity with someone, you know.
For sure. What do you recommend? So kind of when if you're going into DJing, I guess first thing I'll ask is what's the culture like at the places you've been DJing at? 'Cause I know you DJed a lot of Insomniac's clubs, Academy in LA. I mean, what's the culture like there? What was it like when you first got in there, and how'd you kind of find your stride?
It was kind of difficult. Like at first, I was pretty shy. I didn't really want to talk to anybody. Like I still went, like I was still trying to push myself to like get out there, you know? And when I started doing the clubs and stuff like that, you're the first one in and the last one out, right? As a DJ. So when you get there, you talk to the staff, you talk to the lighting guys, you talk to any of the sound guys and stuff like that. And then, you know, you really get to know like the whole staff from there at Exchange. Like they're super cool. There's a lot of cool guys, you know, that are still working there even now that I'm like good friends with. And oh yeah, again, you just got to be friendly. I think, you know, that's the main thing. And then
it's amazing how far that gets you. You know, I feel like in life, you know.
No, yeah, really. Like it was literally because I was friends with one of the promoters and then some of the talent managers and stuff like that there, and, you know, stuff like that I started doing more club shows. And so, yeah, I think it's important just to network and just talk to everyone.
Yeah. Well, I think the big thing, which is really powerful with us talking with you, is just, you know, you're talking about, you're kind of more introspective, or well, obviously introspective as well, but introverted when you're in your personality. And then you're saying, hey, like it's important to get out there and network, even if you don't get energized by that immediately. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong in any part here, but I think it's important, even if you're introverted, to, you know, work to network with other people, just because how many more connections you can make, and it opens up so many doors, you know, just by being able to say, hey, like, how you doing? And then go from there, you know?
No, yeah. I think it's a little harder for introverts, but I think all it is just perspective and finding your way of communicating with someone. Yeah. Because like with extroverts, like, dude, they'll be like, hey, what's up? Like, you're freaking cool. Like, let's party. Like, let's go do this and that. And like, yeah, like it's easy. It's easier for them. But for me, I'm just like, you know, like, hey, how's it going? I'm Carlos. And I try to, you know, I hate small talk so much. Like, I really like having meaningful conversation. So like, I try to start some meaningful conversations right away. But, you know, some people kind of get put off, and then, you know, some people are like, dude, yeah, 100%. Like,
yeah,
you get like a little bit of both.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you can, like, you're trying to go into that like meaningful, like real spot. And then sometimes people are like, nope, you know, like I'm not feeling that right now. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
But then like the people that you connect with, like, and they'll be part of your team. They're part of your squad. So then like you're just kind of adding to your family in a way, you know?
Mm-hmm. So what do you mean by perspective when you said that earlier? What do you mean by perspective?
Well, it's just like the way that you look at things. Like you can be like from a negative perspective or something, like, oh, like I don't want to do this. Like it's so draining and stuff like that. I mean, you got to look at it at a positive perspective and be like, I'm doing this for me. I want to be out there. Like I have my goals and I know what I need to do. And, you know, like you want to connect with someone. So let's do it. Like, even though like I hate it, but let's do it, you know?
Yeah. Do you think it being connected to something you're so passionate about helps too? Because it's that community centered around, you know, music production and, you know, music in general. And that's something that is impactful in your life. So it's like, regardless, I'm in a place where other people kind of vibe with that same type of thing.
Yeah, totally. I think your environment that you're in really, it like it messes with your mood, So like if you're around good people, like you're gonna always be happy, and you're gonna always, things are a little easier when you're in a good mood. So
Makes sense. So what would you? This is kind of a fun question. How would you describe your music in like a couple emotions, like 3 or 4? How would you describe, what you express?
I was thinking so hard because it's hard. Like, oh man, if I had to choose, I mean, definitely euphoric is one I try to nail it with every single song. Uplifting for sure, and I mean, love. Like, no, I would say passion. Passion. Yeah, for sure, passion. Yeah. Well, because like love and passion, like almost interchangeable in a way. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
it's like having a love for something and having the passion for this. Almost the same thing. It's all.
Yeah, it's like different. It's like a different shade of the same color.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely those 3 for sure.
Right on. What type of message do you feel like you're trying to give to people through your music? Are you trying to give a message? Is it more of because we keep kind of wrapping back to an experience, cinematic experience? Is there a message, or is it more, a place?
So like starting off, there wasn't really much of a message, but like as I'm like growing as an artist and stuff like that, I want it to mean more to people. So like I really dig deeper, and I want it to mean, I want it to mean pretty much like, yo, you could do this. If I could do this, you could do this. Like, you got to lift yourself up. Like if no one's going to lift you up, you got to lift yourself up, So I think that's kind of like the message that I try to portray in some of the things. Like, you got to pick yourself up and go. Like, yeah, you are your best friend, in a way, kind of.
Do you think music's a really powerful tool to remind people of that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like people, I mean, because so many people connect, with music and stuff like that. Like imagine, all these, you have friends and stuff like that you probably met because of music and stuff like that. So yeah, 100%. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? It's that, and then it brings like a feeling of community as well. Like you brought up friends, so it's the experience that you're feeling that you can share that feeling with other people as you listen to the music. It's like you share that space.
You share those feelings. You share something together. You share that memory with them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like genres is kind of a left field, but we're wrapping it in? Do you feel like genres have personalities, like different genres of music?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they're, more moods than like personalities. I mean, like if you do mid tempo and like dubstep and stuff like that, they're more in like angry or like just mad or aggressive, and stuff like that. And then like melodic dubstep, trance, a little bit of progressive house. It's more on the happier side, more obviously like sad boyish, very calming, uplifting. Like they all have different messages and stuff like that each genre, has. Like even like with D&B, what else? Like I love everything, so like it's kind of hard to kind of think of all these genres of that have personalities in a way. So yeah.
You feel like it's kind of pulling tools out of the toolbox though to express whatever you're feeling at that moment. As you'll kind of take sounds from different genres and just kind of compose whatever you're feeling.
And I think that's super cool, because me as an artist and musician and everything, I love all types of music, right? The only thing I don't like is country. For some reason,
people always pick on that, man.
I know. It's like,
what's wrong with trucks and guitars and my girlfriend? Come on.
I have nothing against it. It just doesn't speak to me like the way all these other types of music, So, but I mean, I think it's cool because then I could pick a little bit of everything, from different genres to put into my music. Like I have a track called Ignite, and that one's more like drum and bass, but like it still has a lot of melodic dubstep aspects to it, and then also still has a lot of orchestral stuff too, and like it's a good combination of like everything, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of characteristic of your your creative process. That's kind of how you go about it. It's like you kind of go in the kitchen. You're like, I'm gonna throw these different spices in here and just kind of see what comes out of it, as opposed to being like, I got one genre that I'm kind of got to stick to, or like I got this one type of vibe. I really love rhythm. It's like we're just gonna do this, but you're kind of like, I like all these different genres. I'm gonna like kind of dice it up to kind of get this creative different flavor for my sound. Does that sound like that resonates? Is that?
No, yeah, totally. Like, no, yeah, I try to, whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm trying to convey, I try to pull from different genres and stuff like that to like make it unique, right? Because I feel like now music has changed quite a bit, where everyone is trying to fuse, all these different genres into like one. I feel like that's like a main thing. Yeah, I feel like right now everyone's just trying to mix whatever they can together and see what they can cook up. Like now there's like a lot of pop punk, melodic dubstep vibes going on right now. So like I've seen a lot of people, go on that pop punk stuff, kind of make it feel nostalgic for people. And so I think it's important to like try to fuse them, but then you don't want to like overdo it where you're trying to start a trend, I think it's important to try to push limits, but like in your own way, if that makes sense. I mean, it's kind of like what Skrillex kind of started. Like, I feel like he pioneered like dubstep in a way, right? And so like he was doing his own thing. Like there was dubstep like way before, but like he changed it up and made it his own. And like,
do you think Jack U was kind of like a door that brought EDM into the pop scene?
Yeah, a little bit, just because I know Diplo kind of, I mean, it's his influences and stuff like that. Like, I mean, right now he does like country. He does a little bit of like.
How dare he?
Yeah, no, he does. No, he does a little bit of everything. Like if you listen to all of his stuff, like all of his different aliases, and that guy is pretty knowledgeable of all these different like pop, culture type of genres and stuff like that. And then definitely tries to bring that into like the EDM space,
Yeah. Do you feel like it's easier to specialize in one genre, like specifically when you're a producer, and then kind of explore more after that? Or do you feel like it's just it's up to the person?
To me, it's a little bit of both, because like you kind of want to be known for like your type of music, but then you don't want to be like the type of person that just continues to like pretty much bring out the same kind of stuff like all the time. Like you got to switch it up, right? Yeah. So I think it's important to like one day or you'll do like melodic dubstep for like two or 3 months, right? And then like, oh, let's switch it up to drum and bass, and then after that we'll do some mid tempo, or like, I mean, yeah, you got to keep it fresh, you always got to try to innovate and push yourself,
Is it usually like 2 to 3 months like that, where you'll kind of get hooked to a genre? Just you specifically, not like generally all artists, but just with your workflow, do you feel like it's just you pick a genre and it's like a couple months and it's like, oh, I'm feeling this one, and you kind of move to a different one? Or is it more like take all the flavors?
Kind of. Because like for me, I get little sprints. So I get like a little sprint of like melodic dubstep, and I'm like totally focused on just trying to make like the best melodic dubstep that I can. But then I'm like, okay, I did that already. So like, there's some times where I'm just like completely unmotivated to make music, and then that's the time usually I'll like, okay, I'm just not gonna touch my computer or anything. I'm just gonna kind of let my mind relax and not think too hard, because then if you overthink, then it's just kind of start making like bad music.
Yeah, have you ever heard of DOTS? Like, don't overthink shit.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, there's a dude who does like a whole production channel on YouTube that's like his saying is just DOTS. Don't overthink shit. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, literally. I think that's definitely it. Like you could just don't overthink. And then when you have writer's block and all that stuff, that's the time that means you're like almost burnt out. So like you gotta get out of the house and go do something. Do some stuff that'll motivate you, and then, if you're out doing stuff and like, oh my God, if I, had a computer right now, I can totally do something right now. Like,
yeah, whip out your phone real quick. And
no,
like,
literally,
yes,
I was going to say
this is like fantastic.
Yeah, that's dude. Voice memos, man. I try to sound out like my whatever is like going through my head.
Way.
Heck yeah. I have like a couple of voice memos. I'm just like singing and stuff like that, like da 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 da, whatever. And then come back to the studio. Okay, what did I play? And then try to like recreate it. I'm like, oh yes, I remember this. Okay, and then you got a banger.
It's just like that. Yeah. Isn't it cool how that's like how creativity works though? Yeah. Like you can't force it, and it just pops up sometimes randomly. And do you feel like you're more creative when you're active sometimes if you step outside the house like that?
My best ideas that I've so far, I'm driving. When I'm driving, I'm clear headed. So like sometimes I'll literally just drive to like Orange County or whatever, just to kind of to clear my head. And I'll drive, and then, as I'm listening to music and just kind of vibing to myself, and then just things click all of a sudden, like, oh my God, what if I did this? What if I did that? And then same thing with the phone, voice memos, boom, come back to the house and start laying down the track.
Is it like sound? Do you have sounds in your head? Do you think do you have just different harmony, like sounds and
more melodies than like sounds? I try to, it's more melodies and stuff like that. Because like sound wise, I'm trying to like not use like the same type of sounds and all my stuff. Like Reese, like my manager, she's telling me like, yo, you got to expand, like you need to push yourself and not stick to the same sounds. Like you can still portray the same message in a different way.
Yeah.
So like that's what I'm trying to do right now, and it's
got to be hard though. I mean, like, because
you're so used to the same sound. So like this is like my leads and stuff like that I have in my music. I'm so dead on it, like dead set on it. Like I freaking love those leads, but like I know that I'm sounding too much sometimes, like a certain artist and stuff like that. So then I have to like kind of take a step back and be like, okay, I have to dig deep, and I have to like, mess around with some new sounds and stuff like that. And
do you feel kind of goofy sometimes when you switch into a new sound and it's just like, man, I'm so good at like running it this certain way, and then now I'm doing it different. It feels awkward. It
does.
I don't like this.
It does. No, yeah. Like I was doing that like last week. I was like, I like, this is me, but this is weird. Like this is weird. Like I don't like this. I don't like change.
That's like what art is, though. It's so wild. It's like it is change always. Like
But that's the thing. Like that's what I'm saying. You just gotta relax and just kind of let it happen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What I know we're coming back kind of this central theme of you creating cinematic experiences and kind of having that intimacy, the vulnerability, the emotion in your music. Do you feel like there's a certain style of production or genre of electric dance music that really conveys that, or do you think it's just possible in any genre? It's just how you do it. It's just how you tell the story, or do you think there's certain genres that do it better? Like if you watch a movie and like if you're watching Terminator, though there are some sad parts, it's not quite the same as like The Notebook. It's like, do you think it's just like certain genres convey a message a certain way better, or it just kind of depends?
It's a little bit of both, but it's difficult because there are some genres that will portray emotions a little easier in a sense, but then there are some genres that like you can totally just switch. Like it's still like that genre, right? But the way that you mess around with the melody or even some of the sounds, that you could still convey that same message. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, no, it is.
But yeah,
cool.
I think it's 50-50 because I've seen so many things, like let's say you use like the same sample and then manipulate it in different ways to make it sound completely different, but it's still, still that same sound, right?
Yeah. It's interesting how you can manipulate sounds that many ways too. There's almost an infinite amount of ways that you can just alter something to give it a completely different message, and then how you compose it. It's freaking amazing. But like I'm preaching to the choir here. I mean, you do it for, a living, but it's freaking awesome. And then what I also wanted to get on too is, we were talking about intimacy emotion. What is the ideal kind of set experience for you? So you're performing, is there an ideal venue? What's the ideal message or experience you're trying to give viewers every time you go out there? Or does it change, nightly? It just depends on where you're at and what you're feeling.
Well, right now, obviously because of COVID and stuff like that, I haven't done any shows yet, but I'm trying to step up everything right now. So I'm trying to have a better flow in my sets to really tell a story or like a certain theme or something like that, certain feeling or energy. And before I wasn't really doing that. I was just kind of playing music, whatever I like. But now I'm trying to really convey a story or a certain theme when I play. And then hopefully in the future, as I'm playing like festivals or, eventually I'll start touring or things like that. Like I really want to dig deep and like production wise and like live elements and stuff like that. Cause I don't really play any instrument. Like I literally only know how to use a computer like right now. So I may have formal like training with like a piano, but like I don't think I'll be able to play things live. So like I think that's something. So yeah, I think that's like another thing that I would definitely love to be doing, like playing things live or even having like a drummer or something like that. Like, or even learn how to play guitar so I can shred like when I'm on my shows and stuff like that. Like I think that'd be super cool.
Dude. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. So I definitely want to.
The light shining on you and just fucking hit
just fucking shredding, bro. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's a lot of things I want to do. So like, I'm just kind of have to put the work in. you know? So
where do you see yourself? I mean, you kind of tapped on it a lot, but where do you see yourself five years from now? Or 3 or 2? I mean, just in the future, moving forward here.
Yeah. Well, definitely doing festivals. That's for sure. I really want to start doing bigger festivals. Like I've already done a couple in like Texas called EDM Drive and then I want to do like just bigger stuff. So I want to eventually play EDC. I want to play like at Ultra. I want to play all that, everything. So yeah, festivals is definitely like my next step right now. But after, like I would, or even sometime soon, I don't know, you never know, but I would definitely want to tour the world. I think that'd be super cool to see, just go out through the whole world and then like see like everyone around the world listens to my music. Like that's super cool. So
it connects people. Everybody gives someone a common space to hang out and be humans together. I feel like music, you can go to that same spot even if you don't speak the same language.
Yeah. So definitely touring, definitely festivals. I also definitely want to start my own record label for sure.
Right on, dude. Well, what's your idea for it? I mean, share as much as you feel comfortable sharing. You don't have to share anything.
Right now, I have somewhat of a name. Like I was going to call it Ethereum Records because Ethereum, like the ether, it's kind of like a space where it's kind of like a utopia of sorts, right? It's a certain space between chaos and like peace. It's like just blissful, right? So like that's why I call it the Ethereum, and I mean just Ethereum record. So it's like a place of happiness and content. Like it's kind of So it's somewhat in that space, and and then like I just want to be that a good record label, because I feel like now record labels are a little rough. Like,
do you feel like it's fair to artists? The current environment with music. That's a kind of a brushstroke question, but I think it's an important one.
Well,
do you think it's fair with people getting into the music industry? You said record labels are kind of rough. What do you mean by that?
Well, because like it's kind of it's difficult because when you're starting out, like you think, oh, I have to be on a label. I have to be on a label because like, you want to get big and stuff like that. But like being on a label it's kind of rough because, whatever song that you're, putting out there, like for them to take, like if your demo, they're going to try to tweak it as much as possible to make it fit to like
with their brand.
To their brand or whatever, like the, people will like, right? And so sometimes they'll tweak it too much where it's like, okay, this is not even me anymore. and stuff like that. And then I've heard so many record labels that take advantage of producers and stuff like that, that like when they're fresh in the scene, they have no experience or anything with contracts or with all this stuff. So then just because they're fresh in the scene, they're like, oh, dude, I got on the record label, let me sign this. But then they find out later on that not only did they sign their track, but they have to do 3 other tracks, and the label has to choose whether or not they'll sign it. So like you can submit 12 songs to them, but they'll only take 2, right?
Yeah.
So you're still under contract, and then you can't release anywhere else.
Yeah.
So you're like you're stuck like with that label until that contract is done, right? Mm-hmm. And legal wise, like it's a pain. So
definitely, isn't it wild? You hit it on the nail on the head on that too. When you're in that moment where like, oh my god, I'm gonna get signed. You're like, this is happening. Like I made it. This is great. And then it's like, and you're on that high, and then you just sign the dotted line, like you said. Yeah. And then what's included though? What's in the details?
You got to read the small print, man.
No, nobody reads it though.
I for anyone upcoming, anything like that, doesn't matter who you are. If you're trying to get in the music scene, always get an entertainment lawyer or music lawyer to look over your contract to make sure you're not getting fucked. Or sorry, I don't know if I can say.
Oh, you go for it, man.
Make sure you're not getting fucked. And like you gotta watch your back, dude. Like it's a dog eat dog world, in this,
so interesting. This music's such like a beautiful, pristine, ethereal thing, like you were saying. And then there's this like the sharks right here. Sometimes I'm just saying I'm just saying it's out
more
there.
Like the background, like it's like the behind the scenes kind of thing. Like in the front, it's beautiful. There's festivals, people connecting, having fun, and things like that. But in the background, what artists deal with and stuff like that, it's totally different. Like, it's rough.
Can you tell the story? Because I think having a manager is a really important thing for an artist. See, it's at least outside looking in to make sure someone advocates for you. But how did you meet your manager, your current manager?
Well, at first I didn't have a manager, and I was doing clubs and stuff like that, and I was gonna ask this one manager that was also managing my friend, and I asked him, and he said like, oh no. Like, I'm not taking anyone else in, right? And I kind of stopped for a second, and I had to think to myself, like, I shouldn't be looking for a manager, because I think it's important that the manager comes to me, only because then will the manager totally like understand who I am as a artist and they try to understand me to the best of their extent, right? Like just knowing from the outside. So I think it's important for them to really believe in you and your music in order for them to like really try to push you and just take you to different, limits and stuff like that. Push limits for sure. Because if you get a manager that you ended up just, hey, like, we want to be my manager and stuff like that, but they don't listen to you or they don't listen to your music and stuff like that. They don't really have that respect or anything. They're just going to be like, oh, yeah, like, it's just a guy, like, I manage and stuff like that. Like, they're not going to put that much effort into getting you gigs or getting you, with blogs or, YouTube channels and stuff like that. That'll really try to explore enough for you, right? If you get a manager that, totally loves your music and stuff like that, like, they're more inclined to like, oh, dude, we're gonna like send you to the freaking moon. Like, we're gonna book shows, we're gonna book this and that, and like, because they believe in your music. And I feel like that connection with your manager is totally, important. And the way that I met my manager, it was funny because I was at a friend's house, just chilling, hanging out, and then my manager ended up hitting me up. And she was like, hey, like, I heard that you don't have a manager and stuff like that. And, you're just kind of floating right now. Like, I would definitely love to manage you. Like, I love your music. Like, let's freaking do this. I'm like, nah, you're playing, right? Like, you're messing with me, dude. Like, cause, Yeah, because I didn't believe it. I was like, manage me? Like, what the heck? Like, I'm not that great at the you know? But I was like, are you sure? You dead ass. Like, you're going to manage me? Like, this is not a joke. We're going to, take to the streets and we're going to make Dante Levo international, right? And then my manager, Rissy, now, she's like, we're doing it. Like, let me manage you. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Totally. I'm 100% in. And then we got to talk for a little bit. I expressed all my feelings and everything that I want to happen with like Dante Levo and stuff like that, like as a brand and everything that I want to do. And she's like, yeah, dude, 100%. I'm with it. Let's do it. So that's how I met my manager.
Awesome. I feel like that sounds so organic too. How you guys went about meeting each other. It wasn't like it was forced. It wasn't like a forced networking event or anything. It wasn't like it was fake. It was just like, you think that's really important, especially for artists, because you tapped on that a lot when you were talking earlier, but just having someone really see you for who you are when they manage you is pivotal, as an artist and where you're coming from.
Yeah. And I'm grateful that I was a friend first, and then she became my manager. So
recommend?
Totally grateful.
I'm sorry for cutting you off, Dante.
You're good.
Do you recommend that upcoming producers get managers? Do you think that's something you don't really need, or is it just case by case type of thing?
No, for upcoming producers, like people that are that are just barely doing clubs and stuff like that, like now you won't really need a manager yet. It's not until where you're like too busy to handle the workload and stuff like that with everything that's going on. That's when you kind of really need a manager, so then they can take over some of the work, and then, then they'll push from there. Right. Cause you don't, first you got to put in all the work yourself, right? Like in the beginning, you're going to be your own graphic designer. You're going to be your own manager. You're going to be your own booking agent. You're going to do everything yourself first. And I think it's important to understand that business side of music, before you really get into the industry. So you got to do everything yourself first. I think that's important to learn the business side. And then once you understand it, then you have a manager, take over, and then they'll just kind of fill you in and like things like that, and everything will make sense instead of just trying to get a manager and then you have no idea what the hell they're talking about when they're explaining all these things to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and then it gets even chaotic from there. So
you're saying getting a little skin in the game first, figure out where you're going with this, and then maybe pair up with somebody and pair up with somebody who actually supports you, for what you want to be, as opposed to saying, hey, your DJ number 4 is going to club over there tonight, and let's set them up with something like the bare minimum. Get someone who really vibes with you on whatever frequency you're on. It sounds like your manager does, which is fantastic.
Yeah. And I also think it's important too, when you're talking to someone that's trying to manage you, the amount of people that they have that they're managing as well. Because let's say you get 2 different managers trying to hit you up and trying to manage you. One, it only has like 3 or 4, other clients and stuff like that, right? And then you have the second one that's managing like 10 other artists. I'm definitely going to go with the one that has 3 or 4, only because, the other one's spreading themselves too thin, and they're not going to have any time for, for me, or, they're not going to pay any attention to me because they have like 9 other artists or 10 other artists to like worry about. Right. So I think it's just important to like see who you're trying to bring onto the team.
Right on. How big of a company would you want to run in the future? You think you want to have like a label? Would you want it to be big, or do you want to keep it kind of small?
I want it to be. I want it to be big. Yeah. No, I like to, push higher than the sky, man. I like to push it as much as I can. Like if I can make a big company, hell yeah, like let's do it. Like, but I want to do it right, and I want to do it with, honor and pride and stuff like that. Like, I want to be proud of my company,
Yeah. The big thing you tap a lot on too is being decent. I think you always kind of bring up being like just like a decent, kind person, and have that kind of kind of have that like giving off that vibe when you're with people and walking the life where you're not being a dickhead, you know, and you're big on that. Like from what I'm heard talking with you, you want to have a label that does it the right way. It's kind of the vibe I'm getting from you, as opposed to a label where it's like, we made it, but there is a lot of, you know, burned bridges and blood on the way, you know?
Yeah.
There's a whole art to that too, man. Actually walking the path like a decent person, you know, it's difficult, you know, in any industry, and I'm sure in music too.
No, totally. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people that try to corrupt you as you get bigger and stuff like that, but you got to stay true to yourself and, you know, just don't stray from the path, you know?
What do you mean by corrupt you? What do you mean by that?
Because I feel like in the music industry, I mean, it's pretty somewhat well known that there's always drugs involved. There are always, you know, some kind of business dealings that aren't, you know, they're questionable, and you're like, I don't know if I should do this and things like that. So like, you know, that's what I'm saying by corrupt and stuff like that. Like once you start hanging around with the bad, you know, wrong crowd, then that's when things start going downhill.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. Yeah. There's bad crowds everywhere. Right. And, you know, dog eat dog, depending on the scenario, but that's a really good point. I mean, so when you're getting in those spaces, I guess where you're getting at is make sure that you're hanging around the right people, you know, or that the temptations are there, the corruption is there.
Yeah.
So it can't
That's why you got to be very, very observant of who's in your circle. Like you have to be very observant of whatever is going on. Who are you letting in and all that stuff. It's very, very important. Like,
I feel like there's some fake friends sometimes too. You know, there's just people going there. I love Dante. Like, you the best. You know, it's like
no, but you'll be able to tell those people apart. Like people that are trying to be fake and just trying to use you just because like you're big or whatever. Like you'll be able to tell. Like, Did
you notice more people talking to you after the W&W thing that weren't talking with you before after you opened or started opening?
Yeah, I'm just like, what?
Like, who the hell are you?
Yeah, who are you? Yeah, exactly. Like, like all of a sudden you want to talk to me? Like, I've been here for like the past 2 years and you're barely talking to me? Like, no. Yeah. No, it's happening. I mean, again, I'm nice. I'm not going to be a total dick, but like, I'm just like, okay, like I had a nice conversation with you, but you know, I don't want to take it farther than that, you know?
Yeah. Back to understanding where you are and where you're going and what you're about, which is what you were hitting on earlier. So that being pivotal. You were talking about graphic design earlier, and you know, when you're starting off being a DJ, you got to do like all the jobs, or producer, sorry, you got to do all the jobs. So if you're creating your own like venues, you're creating your own artwork, you're actually producing the music. It's just a lot of work, but you have some beautiful artwork in general with your albums and your releases and everything going on. Are you making that? Or are you working with somebody on those?
Oh yeah, literally 80 to 90% of it, it's all me.
Dude,
so,
it's
like,
freaking gorgeous. Like, what's your background in that?
I actually had like no background in like graphic design whatsoever. I just my buddy had he just had an extra like what is it, like pass or whatever for Photoshop and stuff like that. And then I started looking up tutorials on YouTube and learning how to do things, you know, and then I just started doing like my own cover arts.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's like I use the font. It's literally called thefont.com. And like it's just a bunch of free fonts and stuff like that, and I just choose like my favorite ones. And and then as for like photos, some of them I took, and then some I get them off this website called Pexels. Yeah, so I get like the stock image from there, but then I try to manipulate it in my own way. So my favorite one so far was it's called Last Goodbye. If you see the cover art for that, I did all that. I literally just stuck like a sky, and then I started putting planets in the background and stuff like that, and then I just put a couple holding hands in the middle, and then I just kind of made it like a silhouette. So then it's super cool, but like
it's good though. I'm telling it's good though. I mean, like you just got into this too. I mean, I'm just being real. Like that's some good artwork. Like you're pulling it off.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude. Like I mess around with Photoshop and stuff like that. Like I was telling you, in terms of the podcast, we're looking to get into creating like more artwork and maybe on NFTs and stuff like that. But like, even just throwing planets in and creating it in a way where it doesn't look tacky is pretty hard in itself. You know, 'cause you can just put like a moon in there and it's going to look like 3 shades off. It looks like it just got like stacked on there, but it takes some like skill and time to make sure it fades in right. You actually get the color to match, and it's a whole process, man. Like, good on you.
Getting all the materials and stuff like that is the hard part. The actual doing of it's pretty simple, but and then like now I'm getting into like even some of the more harder stuff. So like I'm using Blender right now, and that's like another software that's like, I feel like it's super hard because it's more like 3D space and like.
Yep.
Yeah, like it's more artsy for sure. Because
what do you plan on doing with that? What's your mind going there with that? What are you trying to create?
So like I'm trying, because I'm a big sucker for like fantasy concepts and like matte paintings, and so like I want to make that kind of art, you know, and like pretty much a lot of the stuff, like if you see Seven Lions, like his cover art, it's like literally all that kind of stuff. Like I fucking love that stuff. So like I want to make my own in my own twist in my own way. And so, so pretty much I'm creating worlds in like this little piece of like little square, like on a freaking computer, you know, stuff like that.
Isn't
it's
that
hard.
Freaking crazy though. Like you're really creating a whole universe inside of your computer. Just a little screen, you're creating another world through artwork. Yeah.
So like my very first like Blender render, I guess, is for In Control. So like if you look at the cover art, I made the cover art for that, and I made all the 3D stuff and like the floor to make it look like a wet rock and stuff like that, and I put the lighting and stuff like that. All that stuff. It's so hard, but I'm glad it came out pretty dope. So.
Is that where your head's at moving forward with, and your heart and, you know, your soul and everything? Is that where you're kind of moving forward with your music, is creating those worlds to map onto the actual music you produce, where you'll create this space? Because you're big on, you know, the cinematography and the feeling of being somewhere and the intimacy and the escape and being in a whole nother world. Is this the next touch on top of that, where it's like you're creating the sound, then here's like the visual experience to layer on top of what I'm showing you through feeling and noise and all that good stuff.
100%. I'm trying to build a world to where we can all enjoy and immerse ourselves. So like that's what I'm saying when I said I'm looking forward to, you know, whenever I start doing bigger productions and stuff like that, because I want to be able to do some kind of like 360 production where I can put my visuals and stuff like that, like the world that I created all around us as I'm playing. And so like it'll feel like we're all together in just this other world. So I definitely want to do something like that for sure.
That'd be fantastic. Or imagine it in being able to interact with it too, where you just have like with every drop different little like tokens come up, and you would just kind of create this whole area that people would interact within and have the space that you would create as a producer, which would be freaking awesome. You know, like you just create this whole land that people go into.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I'm like so excited. I'm ready for it. You know, I want to push things, you know, to a whole nother level for sure.
What do you think is like the steps to doing that? You know, like obviously the artwork on one end, but is it creating a team of individuals that you can work with and just storyboard this concept? Because that's a lot of labor. You know, it's a lot of work. It's hard. I mean, us just talking about Blender, that takes, I'm sure the thing you made took, I don't know how long it takes.
Took hours.
I'm sure it just took like focused attention, where you're just like sitting there and just getting it just right and just making sure everything was good to go. Imagine trying to do that for like a whole set.
For a whole production. It's insane. Hopefully in the future, I mean, hopefully I'll network some more, and, you know, I'll talk to some people that are in the production, you know, space and stuff like that. And, you know, hopefully they enjoy my music, and then they'll be like, hey, let's do this concept that you have, and let's go to work. Let's try, you know, have other people that'll come on board and make this a reality. You know, that's kind of what I'm hoping for, you know, in the future.
It's kind of like taking the tools and saying, hey, y'all, like these are the tools. this is the vision, kind of vibe with the same frequency. Well, let's do it, you know.
Yeah,
and someone's
let's amplify it to 100. Yeah.
Yeah, and someone will hear like In Control or The Way We Were, and they're like, "Whoa, dude!" Like I felt like I was with my ex-girlfriend, and like I definitely understood that vibe. It was like, let's turn that into a whole like experience.
Yeah, totally, 100%.
Isn't that exciting? Though? Isn't that so exciting?
Yeah.
Like I'm excited for you, dude. That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah. So I want to. We've talked about some awesome stuff. I just want to tie in a couple more things. What made you fall in love with EDM? Was there a moment? Was there, because your background wasn't. You said you got into this at about 18. You know, you're listening to it before then. Was there a song where you just got goosebumps and you're like, man, Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites, I'm gonna like lose it on the bus? Like, was it like a certain like vibe? What was going on? Where were you when you fell in love with EDM?
It was pretty much when I listened to Seven Lions, when he won the contest for Above and Beyond. I think it was You Gotta Go. That was the name of the song. He made a remix to it, and oh my god, it was just so beautifully made. I was like, whoa, what is this? Like, what's going on? And then I started listening to him more, and then he came out with this Polarized EP. And then I was just totally immersed. I was like, I'm gonna be in this space. Like, this is super cool. And then my cousin ended up taking me to like my first rave or massive event, which was Beyond Wonderland. And then I fell in love with the culture. I fell in love with the music. I fell in love with everything. I was like, dude, this is so cool. No one's, judgmental. No one's being mean. Everyone's just trying to vibe. Everyone's just trying to be on the same wavelength and just have a good time. And so Plur was like a big thing when I first started. I was like, what the heck is Plur? Like, what is that? Yeah. And they're like, dude, peace, love, respect, bro. Like, come on. And then I totally immersed myself in that culture. Yeah, I totally immersed myself in that culture, and then I became a candy kid. So I had like big cuffs and everything. I had 2 full sleeves, and then I love talking to people just because people were so nice to me. So I fell in love with the culture for sure.
Isn't that a beautiful thing, though, man? It's just it's a space to just connect with people and just be open,
Yeah, you get to be yourself and just know that you're not, going to be threatened because of whatever you like or whatever
or however you act.
Yeah.
How you express yourself. You just be like, oh, another color of the rainbow, as opposed to being like, oh, like, do that. That's not allowed. You can't. Yeah. You can't laugh like that. Idiots laugh like that. It's like, fuck that guy, whoever said that, to that person. Yeah.
Well, I've seen like people like make fun of someone, for how they dance, and then they stop dancing. Like, bro, like, why are you gonna mess up his vibe? Like, bro, let him fucking vibe out. Like, let him dance. Let him do it. Whatever he wants. He's there to have a good time. So.
That's almost as important as the actual, because there's the refined artistry of being a good dancer. That's just the pleasurable experience and the freedom you have from just moving your body. And I think that's also extremely powerful and important,
Yeah.
Or like singing, same deal. You can be a bad singer, but it's really good for you to sing in general. You can, physiologically, it's good for you. There's science behind that, but I'm not going to name because I don't know.
Is there really? Because I sing all the time.
It like stimulates your vagus nerve, which I think it's like right here. Don't quote me or like cite this anybody, but like it like affects your vagus nerve, which it kind of calms down your sympathetic nervous system and your body, so that way you're more relaxed and probably decreases the amount of cortisol you're releasing, helps you be more locked into your body. Lots of good stuff. But like that much happens from singing to Fergie in the shower, if that's your thing. Isn't that great? Like it's awesome.
That's pretty cool. I didn't really know that. I just sing all the time just because I love music. So
it just makes you feel better, man. That's medicine. It seems, and just give that to people. And I always wonder, the individual judging someone about dancing, are they feeling a little insecure about their dancing at that point, or how they can express themselves?
Usually the ones that are always talking the most shit are usually the ones that don't do much.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna talk smack on somebody, I mean, okay, then you dance, and then they're like, "Nah, I don't dance, dude." Like,
exactly.
Okay, then why?
Sorry, bro.
Like, why are you talking smack then? Like, that makes no sense.
Yeah, whip the stanky leg out. Let's see who you really are. You know?
Exactly.
That's how you test somebody, man. Your crew.
Yeah.
Like can you lean with it and rock with it? You can't.
Like, I don't know if I can.
Can I trust this guy? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So In Control released June 7th. That's going to be out by the time this is airing. You kind of touched into what you expect, what people should expect when they hear that, or, what maybe a little taste of what's going to be going on. I know you were saying that this was kind of an exploration for you into something a little bit more aggressive, kind of exploring your own vibe and frequency as an artist. But what did this song mean to you? In when it came to, at the end of the day, after you said, okay, I'm going to export it, it's going out in the world, I put the work in, I spent a bunch of time on Blender to create this dope ass artwork. What did it mean to you all said and done? Was it a new chapter? Is it a different part of the book? What is it?
Yeah, I would say this is kind of like a little bit of a new chapter. Like, this is one of my couple of songs that I'm like really expanding on my sound and really taking my production level to like, a whole nother level. And then especially working with Maggie and stuff like that, like, cause she's an amazing vocalist. She has like a whole bunch of tracks with like bigger artists and stuff like that. So it was like an honor to work with her. And, I think this is a whole new chapter for me. And with this song, it kind of ended up being like a domino effect. Once I was done with this, I was like, oh dude, I can do like a whole nother, 4 or 5 tracks like right now, like let's do it. And so like I'm even working on an EP right now because of this track. I'm like, oh
really?
Dude, I can, yeah. So I got like around 4 tracks that I'm like almost done, and then I'm working on an intro and an outro so that I can really tie it into like a whole story. And and then there's gonna be like a bunch of new vocalists, new artists, and stuff like that I'm gonna be collabing with. And I'm excited for this EP too. But this song though, I'm like ecstatic for it just because I got to work with Becky and Yunoya, so they were both like super nice, super they're totally, I can totally tell like they're totally passionate about music. So like it was super cool to see that I'm not the only one.
Yeah, kind of fans your flame because other people are feeding into the same thing, and you're like, all right, I'm energized, as opposed to being like I'm exerting energy and feeling tired. It's cool. Where are you at when you decide you're going to release an EP or an album? Is it just like a series of songs you're working on? You're like, damn, this is really going to like turn into something. You're like, I feel like this is more than just one release. I feel like this is a whole story. What's going on there?
Yeah. Well, it was kind of a bit of a process. Because after finishing In Control, then like I said, I kind of really took a deep dive into like my music and my production and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, I'm kind of, somewhat telling a story through like all these other tracks that I'm doing, even though they're all made separately, but then they all kind of somewhat tie within each other. And so then I was like, oh, I should just totally just make an EP out of this. And then, and then just throw an intro and an outro onto it and like really, make those tracks like just kind of stand out, And I think also with kind of where I'm going with this too is it's a new beginning. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess this is kind of like the title, so somewhat of what I'm looking for. We're going to call it Genesis. So it's going to be the Genesis EP. That's what it's going to be called.
Badass.
Right.
That's
so like, cool. This is totally the new Dante Levo. It's going to be like 2.0. Yeah. So
we are talking to him before he does it too. This is an honor. This is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, I'm super excited and yeah, dude, it's just, I don't know, man. I get so, so crazy about it. Like, I wish I could tell you more, but I can't.
No, that's all good. Yeah. It'll be out when it's time for it to go out and when you're comfortable talking about it. That's what matters.
Yeah.
So when you created the EP and you kind of create that space. When you're creating the intro and the outro, is it more of like you step back from it a bit? You go like, man, this is what I felt in this world. And you go like, how do I bring people into it? And how do I want them to leave? It's almost like, it's like you have a house party. And it's just like you put you're inviting people to come in. You're like, this is really cool. Look at all the exhibitions. And then you're like, then you got to figure out how am I going to politely ask them to leave and be like, you experienced your time here. What was it? What was the experience of you kind of creating that intro and outro? What were you trying to bring people into, and how were you trying to invite them to this world and tell them farewell?
Again, this was very hard because since I didn't really have that much of a vision beforehand, before I was, starting it, it was kind of hard. But then I would usually, like I said, how much I love like matte paintings and fantasy concepts and stuff like that, that type of art. I usually, I just looked at like one picture and then I just try to visualize kind of like a soundtrack for it. Right. And so I literally just stare at this, picture, and then I'm like making something to kind of fit that picture.
Very cool.
And kind of make it my own interpretation. And like I said, I'm always cinematic. I'm always orchestral. I'm always, trying to do that. So like I'm trying to do it in that way to where it's like kind of start off in some like almost like black hole, right? It's completely dark. Uh-huh. And then in this darkness, there's a little ray of light, right, that you can see. And then all of a sudden it's just like whoosh, you just fucking like transported into this like new world, right? And then from there, that's where the journey begins, and that's the start of something, the start of a journey, right? The genesis, right? The start of it all.
Yeah.
And then just kind of let these 4 tracks that I'm trying to finish up portray a new journey throughout the whole thing. And then with the outro, it's just like, all right, now we've done all the work, we've done everything. Now it's time to leave and just, sit back and, and just enjoy it, I guess. I don't know. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, man. It's beautiful. Have you ever thought about making, I know you're passionate about creating visuals and stuff like that. And we were talking about creating that set experience where people are really engaged in that world. Have you ever entertained the idea of creating like video presentations of your albums, or it was like it would be that whole experience of going through the black hole and then like pop, and then it's like, oh, like whatever is in Dante's head, and then like all this color in this world, and then kind of exiting it. Is that something you've entertained, an idea you've entertained pursuing?
I haven't really put too much thought into it. I really don't know yet, because I mean, it's still in its baby stages, so I haven't really put too much thought into it right now. But hopefully in the future, I'll definitely want to make an experience for sure.
Yeah,
the first of its kind.
Absolutely, dude. So we touched on freaking amazing things. What I want to hear from you as we're kind of winding down a bit here is what's your favorite memory associated with music, and why?
All right, I have 2 of them, but they're kind of the same. But so basically, it was EDC, like the very last set, and there were 2 different sets in 2 different years. But one of them was Galantis. All right, so Galantis was closing EDC. I forget what year, but he was playing. They both played Gold Dust. Oh man! And then like it was such a crazy like experience. So like the sun was coming up, and then with like all the sound, and like usually they have like the I don't know, it's a commentator or whatever, like the they have a pre thing going on where like EDC like welcome to EDC 2018, where we're all here together as one, blah, 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 things like that. It was just making it as epic as possible in like that moment. And then once it was done, it's like, gold dust, and all that stuff. And it was just a feeling of euphoria where I was so happy to experience that, that at that point with all my best friends and my family. My sister was there with me. So it was such a happy feeling just being around the people that you love the most to experience that. And then just good music, like good vibes, like the entire time. So it was euphoric. And
That's
then,
a beautiful thing.
And it was kind of like the same thing again. It was another year with Dash Berlin. So Dash Berlin closed EDC another year, and it was like the same thing. They made it as epic as possible, like to make you feel all connected as one, right? And then he opened up with a sky full of stars. Right? So I was like, oh my God, take my soul away. Like, this is so beautiful. I was crying, I was tearing. I was like, I started hugging all everyone, my friends and my family. I was like, I love you guys. Like, this is so beautiful.
I love it so much. That's so beautiful.
See, and then that's the thing that, like, that's what I want people to feel like when they listen to my music. Like, I want them to, like, just full of euphoria, just happiness, just smacking them in the face. Like, yeah, I think that's definitely what I'm trying to chase after.
Yeah. Bringing people to that passion, maybe even that love. I know we were tentative to say that earlier, but you're saying they're kind of similar, bringing them to that space. It's energizing.
Yeah.
Can pull people. Who knows what that can pull people out of? There's a saying from the Beatles, but if you listen to a song you love, a part of you is not sad.
Very true.
Pretty beautiful though.
Yeah.
So it's true though. I mean, a little part of you, no matter how hard something is, a little part of you is like tapping its foot, and it's like, damn, it's a banger.
Exactly.
Like, I'm pissed as fuck right now, but like, that is a good song.
That's a dang good song. Yeah,
exactly. You're like, oh, I feel euphoric right now. It's like, man, remember that time I cried at DDC? That was awesome. Like, that was with my sister.
Yeah, it was super dope. Yeah.
All right, Dante. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, man, talking with you. But where can people find you? We're going to post it on our page as well, and on Spotify or on our episode and all that good stuff. But where can people find you? And if they're in LA, where are you at usually, and how can they see you in person?
Well, socials, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, what else? SoundCloud, Spotify, you name it. I'm on all the major platforms. As for performance wise, I'm mostly at Academy LA and Exchange LA. So if you ever see me there, come say what's up. I'm excited for all the new shows and stuff like that coming out, since things are kind of opening up. So hopefully I get to see all everyone's beautiful faces and stuff soon. So
right on. And then June 7th, In Control's dropping. It's going to be out when we release this episode, but make sure we check it out. See the whole new Dante, man. I mean, it's the whole new.
Dante Levo and Maggie York, we're coming out with a bang.
Yeah, man. And Genesis coming, whole new exploration of you as an artist, man. We can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
We can cheers real quick. DJ Coffee.
Cheers to that. Yes.
Pleasure having you.
Hey all, hope you enjoyed the show. Next week we interview Jeff Griffith, known by the name Low Audio. He's a DJ and producer based out of Tucson, Arizona. We discuss the Arizona EDM scene, and we talk a bit about his upcoming projects and what he's working on. If you like our content as well, please follow us wherever you access our content. We love watching the Coffee Talk family grow, and we really appreciate the support. I'll leave it at that for now. See you all next time, and stay caffeinated.